Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are in a 2024 Volkswagen GTI 380 SE. And basically, the sad news about this is the last year for the manual transmission in the GTI or Golf R. So it's kind of a bummer that Volkswagen is going away from offering a manual transmission in their hot hatches. Now, the first impressions of this car, the interior is massively upgraded, at least from the Golf that I owned at one point, that 2017. Everything is so sleek. The digital dash and the infotainment system is very smoothly integrated. There's no physical knobs or buttons. Some people don't like that. I like it because it gives it a clean, simple look. And the seats in this car, I love them. They're one of my favorite features about this car is the seats. They're super comfortable. They look really good. They're actually heated and cooled. So this is the SE with the leather, so it has the heated and cooled seats in the front. If you go with the Autobahn, you get heated seats and a climate control for your rear passengers in the back on the center console, which is a really nice feature. So these are pretty well equipped, and from what I understand, the GTI is the only trim other than the R that you can get in the Golf in 2024. So long gone are your just basic Golfs that don't have the turbocharged engine. And speaking of turbocharged engine, this is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with a turbo on it, making 241 horsepower and 273 foot-pounds of torque to the front wheels. So it's not a powerhouse by any means, but the beauty of a little turbocharged engine is they feel a lot faster than what they really are because you have that torque surge. And that's one thing that I sometimes don't like to hear is when people talk about cars having no turbo lag. Turbo lag to me is what makes turbo engines fun. You feel that surge of torque from the lag, and it makes it feel a lot faster than what it really is. And with this being a manual transmission, it makes it super engaging, super fun, and just a really fun car to zip around town in. And that's exactly what it is zippy. It handles really well. It has that front differential that Volkswagen came up with several years ago that is just kind of confusing at how good it is, because you can push the car through the corners, and when you give it gas while turning, it actually turns in instead of pushes through the corner. So it's really a fun car and a really nice place to be with how well they've equipped these vehicles. This vehicle comes with a lot of cool features where you can adjust your driving modes. You have sport modes, you have custom modes where you can adjust the dynamic chassis control in the custom mode. So it's really nice. The way I like it is to have the car pretty much everything in sport, but then your dynamic chassis control in one of the softer comfort positions. It actually, even in comfort, it's pretty stiff. When you go into full sport mode and set the suspension to full sport, it's kind of bouncy, kind of stiff, but for when you're ready to do some spirited driving, it's appreciated. What else is appreciated is actually the size of the rear seat in this car. I've had 4 adults in here, and they all felt comfortable. There's also some neat pockets in the back of the 2 captain's seats that are actually really nice. You can fit cell phones in and everything. So the interior really comes together as a spacious enough space for your family or even for adults. There's some really handy features that I really enjoy, like the wireless Apple CarPlay. You jump in the car and your phone automatically pairs to the vehicle, and it pretty much always jumps straight to Apple CarPlay once you've set it up. So that's really nice. There are some driving assist features as well as I jump on the highway that some are good, some aren't. So the adaptive cruise control works really well, and you can adjust the adaptive cruise control too to how hard it accelerates when you either switch lanes from being behind a slower vehicle or someone merges off the highway, which is really good because honestly, I've driven so many different vehicles with adaptive cruise control, and the way it tends to re-accelerate to get back up to speed is usually very lazy, and a lot of times that becomes a problem when you're dealing with kind of heavier or heavy-ish traffic, because you want to jump over and get back going up to speed again without inconveniencing the people coming up on you in the left lane. So it makes it really nice. I feel like it drives like I would when it does it. Just jump out and go, get back up to speed as quickly as possible, which is something I really appreciate. The lane assist works really well, and it basically, that one just keeps you, once you get to the line, it'll push back to the center of the lane. The one feature that is beyond that I really don't like, and I feel like it was designed for other Volkswagen models that don't have such a sensitive steering wheel. So it's, what is it called? I'm going to turn it on. It is called the Travel Assist. And what it does is it keeps the vehicle in the middle of the lane. It doesn't just bounce off the lines. But every 20 seconds, if you haven't made an adjustment in the steering, it wants you to. And with the GTI, it's too much. It makes you adjust way too much, and it makes you feel like you're swerving, and you might get pulled over for drunk driving with how much the car swerves, because you have to input something to keep the car happy. It's very obnoxious. I've tried it several times to see if I can get used to it. I can't. I really don't like it. It needs updated. I don't know if there's a way to adjust the sensitivity to how much input you have to put in the steering wheel. If there is, and you know, let me know, because it drives me crazy. So typically on the highway, I don't even use it. It's kind of sad that they've added this feature that I'm not going to use, that when I was sold the car, they were just kind of like, this is a really cool feature. It makes you adjust every 20 seconds, but it's terrible. When it comes to handling curves, this is where the GTI really shines. It's surprising how agile this little car is. When you put it in sport mode and the suspension stiffens up, it gets to be a really agile little hot hatch, and that's right up my alley. All right, so here we go down my favorite road, one of my favorite roads in Fort Wayne. Check out the handling. Sport mode activated. We might get a little pops and cracks in the exhaust. A little one, I don't know if you can hear it. It's so tight, so nimble. So much fun. And there's a cool G meter on the dash to show you how many G's you pulled in the corners, and it keeps like a highlight of how far you've gone. So cool. One of the weird features about the vehicle is also something I like. I don't know if that's the way to say it. I like that it has different driving modes that actually do something. But what's weird is when you're in sport mode, it does make the exhaust pop. I don't know if you just heard that little pop that it did. But if you shut the car off in sport mode and go back to driving again, it doesn't pop. I was really confused for a while with that. I was like, why do every once in a while I hear the exhaust pop? Why can't I get it to do it all the time? Did a little research. Basically, you have to change out of sport mode and back into sport mode to get the pops. It's like when you start the car again, it's like it goes into what someone called it as sport light for the exhaust. I really don't like that. It's kind of annoying. It's like if I want those pretty much all the time. So let me have them all the time. Don't make me choose back and forth. So on my custom setting, I have the exhaust set to sport, so that's nice. I can just change to custom or change to sport. I usually just jump between those, but it's just inconvenient when I wanted to have that feature on all the time, and it's not, even though it should be, because you've selected it to be on all the time. So overall, what do I think? I really like this car. When comparing with like the WRX, the Acura Integra, or even the Civic Si, I just feel like this does everything better than those three cars. It's more fun, the horsepower and torque feels a lot better. The interior is really nice. Now granted, the Integra's interior is really nice as well, but I do like this better. The one shortcoming in the interior compared to the Honda is the shifter feel. So that's why the salesman actually, when selling this car to me, he's like, the one thing you gotta get is this short shifter adapter. It's this little adapter that's CNC machined by Boomba Racing that goes onto basically your shift linkage on top of the transmission below the intake, and it reduces this by 23%, if I'm remembering quite correctly, but if not, I'll put it correctly at the bottom of the screen. And it makes a huge difference. You wouldn't think that small of a percentage would make a huge difference, but it really made the shifter feel much, much better. And I'd recommend it to anybody who has recently purchased a GTI in a manual transmission. So overall, super happy with this car. It will eventually need a tune. It needs a little more horsepower, but it is still very fun for what it is. I've always kind of, when reviewing brand new Volkswagens like the GTIs or the Golf Rs, they always feel just a little bit choked out, and the tune just brings it to what I feel like how it should have come from the factory. But that being said, this is the first one where it's pretty close. It's pretty good from the factory, but me personally, I will want a tune in the future for this vehicle. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to do a little bit more of a review on the shifter adapter that I purchased and put on this vehicle. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again.